Hi, everyone. Can you hear us? Welcome to today's presentation. My name is Aditi Ramola. I'm the Technical Director at the International Solid Waste Association. And joining me as co-presenter is Karthik Kapoor, independent consultant, as well as the Vice Chair of the Young Professionals Group of ISWA. Welcome today to this first session, actually. This is just the online part of our sustainability challenge that we are launching this year. And Karthik, can you go to the next slide? Maybe I can take control. Yes. Yes, but I can't move it. Thank you. Yes. So our presentation today is more to introduce you to what this challenge is. What is this sustainability challenge that we're launching this year? We're going to introduce you to our organization, which is the International Solid Waste Association, as well as the Young Professionals Group. We hope that you're all going to be part of it soon. And then we're going to be introducing to you the challenge. You'll have some weeks to work on it, and then it's going to be culminating in the event in Mumbai in 2 weeks. Let's move to the next slide. So very quickly about International Solid Waste Association. It was established in 1970, so we're about 55 years old this year. And it started as a shared interest between two universities about waste and resource management. And since then, it's really become this huge global international network. We are currently present in over 100 countries. We have around 1,300 members. And it's an international NGO which promotes sustainable and professional waste management. And for the past decade or so, we're also promoting a transition to a circular economy. So that's in a nutshell what ISWA is. It's a membership-based association. So anybody who's working in the field or is interested in waste and resource management can become part of it. You can join our working groups. They basically work on 10 different topics within the whole space. We have task forces. We have the women of waste working group as well. And so it's an exciting network to be part of, and you'll get to know a lot more about it through this session and as well as at IFAT in India, in Mumbai in 2 weeks. So if we can move to the next slide. So as I mentioned, we have the Young Professionals Group, which began in 2015, if I'm not mistaken. Every year there are elections to elect the vice chair, who then goes on to becoming the chair. So it's like a 2-year position. And this year it's Karthik Kapoor, my colleague, who is the vice chair, and next year he's going to be the chair. So I'm going to pass it on to him to tell you a little bit about what the Young Professionals Group does. Over to you, Karthik.
Hi everyone. Under the ISWA, we have like a young professional group, which is for all the professionals who are working in the waste management and circular economy space and are below the age of 35. Primary objective of the young professional group is because the needs of young professions are very different from the people who have been already experienced and senior in the waste sector, because there are systematic challenges, and often, we also end up in a position where, we don't find a lot of people in the sector. So with this group, we try to engage, network, and do a lot of activities for our professional development, and also to build our knowledge, particularly in the sector. So under our group, I would like to introduce my leadership team. So we have like 4 working groups, and we have 2 responsible people who take care of all the activities in the working group. And other than that, we have regional and local chapters, and we are spread out in 15 countries globally. You could see the list of the names. And each of the country has their own WhatsApp group, which is open to join for anyone, in spite to a member of it or not, which is purely for the networking purpose. And to be aware and engage, like, what's happening about events and different things in the waste space in that particular region. So we are 4 working groups, primarily under YPG. The first one is the online discussion and career development working group. Then we have awareness and education working group. The third one is research and innovation. And the fourth is local and regional chapter, which primarily manages all the regional chapters that we have, like the 15 that I mentioned earlier. So these are some of our activities from last 2 years that we've been doing. We have a ongoing mentorship program under which there is a mentee and a senior waste professional who come under the pairing and they work on a particular topic together. I mean, it's not a very professional thing, in a professional sense that you have to produce a definite output or it's a monitored program, but it's more like just connecting a senior and a young professional together in the waste space who can then do the exchange and yeah, just see how it goes and figure out and have some guidance there. Then we often also host career talks where we invite people from different experiences and pathways in the ways to share their journeys and experiences. A recent one that we had was like how your academic journey can translate into the consultancy work. Um, for starters here, also, we have an ongoing event going on, which is the call for good practices, and the focus is for tourism base. So this is in collaboration with UN Habitat and an African Clean Cities platform. And we are accepting the best practices from organizations and people who've been implementing the solutions to manage tourist waste, focusing on awareness and education. And we also do trainings. So last year we had a training on life cycle assessment there, and there will be many more coming this year too. Um, then there is IFAT. So IFAT is one of our biggest trade fair, focusing on waste and resource management and also on wastewater. And there are four regional editions that happen in IFAT. So in IFAT India, that is where we are hosting the Sustainable Future Challenge, and it is going to be on 15th of October. So you already have the brochure with all the details and everything in it. But yeah, just to mention that the Sustainable Challenge is happening this year, and this is not like the first time we are doing it. We already did a successful pilot of this challenge in South Africa and also in Brazil. And in IFAD, more than the Sustainable Challenge, there are a lot of other engagements also for young professionals. We have networking events, we have panel discussions, and there are interesting exhibitions that kind of gives a good spread of learning experience for everyone. And then annually, there is a ISWA World Congress, and this year it's happening in Argentina, Buenos Aires. And we'll be also having an event there, which would be focusing on the theme of leaders of tomorrow. And we'll be talking about how AI and new technologies and techniques are integrated well in the organizations and the waste systems. So to get involved in YPG, I encourage you to definitely reach out to the regional groups. If there is in your region, be a part of it. You don't have to be a member of ISWA to join the regional groups, so do that. Then you can join YPG groups, stay up to date with our activities, and you can join different working groups and collaborate, host events together. And yeah, taking the leadership roles too is an pathway ahead if you engage. Uh, so that's pretty much about what YPG is about. If you have any questions, you can ask us later on, or you can go to our website where most of the details that I showed is already there. So talking about the challenge, firstly, I'm very happy and congratulations that your submissions got selected and you are like the final attendees of the challenge. And it's going to be an intensive thing for next 10 days, and you will see how it works. To just give an introduction about the challenge, there would be two components to it. The first component is about the clock project that happened in India in Chengalpattu district. This is something we are sharing with you for real-time data. So your challenge would be built up on the real waste management data and situation for our district. And the challenge would focus on building up an intervention to solve a problem there. Over to you, Aditi, to take over the challenge and explain about the clock project and data things.
Thank you so much, Karthik. So, as Karthik explained, I'm just setting up the scene for the challenge. We've collected data on the ground. For the past 3 years, we've been working in the district, and it ended with a waste master plan for the district. All of that material is available on our website, cloccglobal.org. And I think Daphne would have also sent out the package to you. So if you go to the next slide, Karthik. I'll just set the scene essentially about the project. This is a global project, and I'll tell you why we've been inspired by what we're doing. So currently, approximately 2.5 billion people lack access to any kind of basic waste service. That basically means collection and transportation or any kind of safe disposal. And a lot of it is being openly dumped and burned. And we found this to be true in the countries that we're working on in the CLOCC project. And so what we see is that it's not just an environmental challenge, it's a health hazard too, because open dumping and burning leads to pollution in the soil, of the air, and of the water, and so on. And because of this, also a lot of waste is being leaked into the marine environment, not just on land. So it's affecting biodiversity all across the globe and the planet. And this is something that UNEP is calling a triple planetary crisis of pollution, biodiversity loss, and climate change. So all of these kind of things are linked, greenhouse gas emissions from badly managed organic waste. So it's a reality today. So inspired by this challenge, we've been working on this program called CLOCC, or Clean Communities through Clean Oceans to Clean Communities, since 2019. And if you move to the next slide, Karthik, the geographic focus is in two countries, but our vision is essentially to achieve a clean environment and a clean, healthy ocean through better, inclusive, sustainable waste management. And we follow a approach that is basically mired in a few different frameworks, and I'll tell you a little bit about them. And we call this the CLOCC, or the clock approach. And we focus on the end results like job creation, value creation, making sure that all materials that are collected have a second life, are recycled, we move towards a circular economy, and so on. If you move to the next slide. As I mentioned, we are focused currently in two countries. One is Indonesia. We started there in 2019. The other one is India, and we've been working in the district of Chengalpettu for the past 3 years. In Indonesia, we've worked in three different regencies. Regency is similar to what a district is in India. And why we focused on this level is because we found that the economies of scale work better, even though administratively in India, the district is not responsible for waste. It's either the municipality, so an urban local body, or a ULB, or a rural local body, RLB. We still felt that, for economies of scale, for even a plastic value chain and so on, it makes sense to look at interventions at a district level for people to have some sort of inter-municipal cooperation or inter-village cooperation and so on. So we're following the same approach in two countries, in Indonesia here. And I'll tell you a little bit more about how we structure our work. And then we'll go into the challenge as to what you will be doing for the Sustainable Futures Challenge. So you have to understand, as I said, the CLOCC approach. We are looking at two or three frameworks. One is the waste hierarchy, where you talk about that everything has to be minimized at the first instance, even before it's created. So, you think about redesigning your products so that they don't even come to end of life. You rethink how repair works, and so on and so forth. So all of that is done first. It's not on the screen, but I'm explaining it to you. And the next thing, as you go further and further down the pyramid, you're making sure that you do less and less of it. So you prevent first, you start recycling, you reuse, and so on and so forth. Then you have some, energy recovery, and then final disposal, final sinks. So that's one framework that we look at. And the other one is the integrated sustainable waste management framework, which you can see on the screen, where we say that waste is not just a technical issue. It's not just a financial issue. It's many things combined in one. It's everybody is generating waste, so it involves everybody. It's looking at the governance aspects of waste management. It's looking at the technical aspects. So you see the two triangles on your screen. One is the physical aspects, which would include your collection systems, recycling, final disposal, and so on. And on the right-hand side of the screen, you're going to be seeing the governance aspects. You have the proactive policies, you have financial sustainability, and you also have user inclusivity. So you essentially have to look at the waste challenge per se in a multi-dimensional framework or in a multi-dimensional way. And so when you start designing solutions, you're looking at it and you're looking at it from all these lenses at once. And so that's what we're going to look at your solutions as well. We're going to be hoping that you'll be looking at it from all these different angles and lenses. So if you move to the next slide, please. This is something that we wanted to quickly share because early on, when waste management started, say in the West, 120 years ago, it was driven very much by the need for a healthy community, a cleaner environment, and so on. So a lot of the waste management was also being looked at from the lens of resource recovery. This is called basically the material value chain, where you were getting money or a monetary value for the resources that you collected, and finally being driven by the health aspects of cleaning it. And so the whole thing was being driven by the prices of the materials, and the buyers of those materials were kind of driving the whole thing. And now we moved into something called, if you move to the next slide, Karthik, the service value chain, where we look at clean spaces or the clean street that's left behind after the service has taken place as the one that's creating the value. And so this falls under the municipal systems, or ULB, RLB mandates or ambits. And so they are the ones who are going to be taking care of the services that they're providing. So there's this kind of a tension between these two. Now what we see, and I've not put it into the slides, is that these kind of intersect. You have the service value chain interacting with the material value chain. And so at the junction that they kind of meet is where municipal authorities have to come together and talk to the recyclers, who might not always be part of the so-called formal system. So that's another dimension that you really have to be careful about. Who are your stakeholders? What do they want? How can you integrate them? How can you involve them into the whole waste management framework? So if you move to the next slide. This is a slide that Karthik is going to take over on. This is a very quick representation of what the waste flows look like in Chengalpattu district. We did this data collection together. Karthik, was it 2.5 years ago now, or 2 years something
2 years,
years
yeah.
ago? Yeah. And
23.
exact 2023. And so he's going to show you a little bit about what the waste flows look like. And then we'll move into the challenge quickly. Over to you, Karthik.
So, if you look at this figure, let's start from the left-hand side of the screen, where you will see the first element, which is the waste generation. And in the district, that is your main subject and the focus where this challenge is about. This district is generating close to 1,700 tons of waste on daily basis. So per person, waste generation is around 620 grams, and we also have a split of that on that what's the household waste and what's the commercial waste. So 1,100 tons is the waste coming from the households who are there in the district, and around 500 tons of the waste is coming from the main commercial component. Um, what happens to this waste which is generated? So, of course, some part of it would be collected, some of that is recovered, and then which is not collected or recovered, it's just ending up on the roads, on the beaches, on the ocean, in the ocean ultimately. So these are the three pathways that we have for the waste here, which is to map like how the waste is managed. So the first part, what we look at is the recovery part here. So it's interesting to see that animal feeding is one of the main practiced management practice, especially in the rural area. And close to 96, 100 tons per day of the waste is actually just fed to animals in the district, because there's a big component which is rural in this district. When we look at the recovery, so there is 100 tons of recovery for organic waste which is happening, and only 26 tons is the waste which is recovered in the municipal facilities. And cumulatively, it comes to like 130 tons of the waste which is getting recovered by municipalities. So do you see a disconnect here? Like, it's a 1,700 tons of waste which is generated, but out of that, even less than 10% is actually recovered by the infrastructure that we have in the municipality. So there is a big gap here. Second recovery happens through the private facility. So as Aditi explained that, there is a value chain system that from a house, there would be a scrap dealer who collects the waste, and then it goes to a big shop and then to the recycling facility. So we also have the data for that. And this is all the real data which we have captured from our assessment. So what we see is that around 120 tons of waste is actually even collected in the district through the scrap dealers network. And we have a split of that, how much of that is paper, glass, plastic, how much is mixed dry waste, and how much is a metal. Now, whatever waste is not actually recovered, where does that go? So in the district, around 700 tons of the waste is going to a dump site. Um, I'm sure most of you must have seen a dump site in your cities or in the place where you stay. It's kind of a heap of a big mountain where all those trucks daily after the collection are going and just dumping the waste. So that's the second pathway, and around 720 tons is going to the dump site. And whatever is left now, which is not recovered, not even going to any disposal site, so that is like the unmanaged waste. And what happens to that unmanaged waste is it's getting littered, it's getting openly burned, and it's getting leaked. And this is like one of a big menace in the problem or around the waste management that we want to really solve. That how can we change this flow to a better management somewhere up there and achieve a better recovery rate and a better integrated solid waste management system. And that thing cannot happen only with a technical solution at place, but it's a multi-dimensional approach. So integrated sustainable waste management framework that you saw, which has 6 pillars. So that is something from which we need to think about it, that how we integrate them and solve it. So this is the data that you have, and we'll share the detailed reports also, which are primarily your reading material. Um, just to deep dive a little more into the problem for plastic waste. So, uh, the annual generation of plastic waste in this district is 86,000 tons. So this is like from the percentage component that I showed from the earlier slide. And most of the plastic is actually ending up in the disposal site, and then some is getting leaked, and the leaked one is getting either burnt in the drains or in the corners of the district areas, or it's just ending up in the ocean. So that's what the situation is there. And if we look at what's the rate of plastic waste generation here, so every year there, each person staying in that district is generating close to 3 kgs of plastic waste, and that's equivalent to 94 PET bottles that a person is just throwing uh, every year uh, in the system. So, because of that, I mean, as I told, the major issues that we face are public littering, which definitely should not happen. The waste must be collected, and then when we don't know what to do with the waste, people just burn it, which is again a big problem because there are health hazards and everything associated with that. Just giving you a little idea that how the waste composition looks like in the Chengalpattu district. So 62% waste is the organic waste. It's a wet waste, kitchen waste that is coming. Plastic is the second component, which is 14%. And then we have paper and cardboard, and then less of the fraction is for glass, metal, and others. So if you see with organic waste, like if we solve the problem of organic waste, it's almost 60% of the problem of the district that we are targeting and solving. But this all things don't happen because there are real challenges on the field. That firstly, there is no segregation that we see, and we don't have enough infrastructure at place to manage the waste. And as a result, littering, dumping, open burning are the issues. So in the waste management plan, this was the target on which the entire district agreed, like the main municipalities who are part of the district, the rural representatives agreed that we want to really improve the system. There were three scenarios that were presented on what to do about it. And the scenario B, which is high recovery scenario, as we tell it, it set a target that, okay, in the district, we need to have 100% waste collection. So there should be no waste which is unmanaged. Everything should come under the collection radar. And out of that, at least 70% of the waste should be recovered through our recovery facilities, recycling facilities, channelization to them, and exploring other innovative way how we can recover them. So this is a scenario by which we are moving forward. And these are the main two reports that we have published, which has all this real-time data So you can access this report on clockglobal.org. So please take a note of this link because this would be like your main reference materials. So there are two reports here. The first one is the waste assessment study report. It has all the data regarding how much waste is generated, what happens to the waste, how different stakeholders are involved, and also details about the governance structure, like who are the stakeholders involved, whose responsibilities, what, and everything. So this would be like your book 101 to really get an orientation that what waste management and waste issue is. And then the master plan document is a build-up document on this, which has all the details from our project work that what a solution should look like. So to achieve 70% recovery, what are the things we need to do? What are the financial mechanisms and everything that we have and things like that. So these two are your main reading material. And now coming to challenge, what exactly you need to do is first, as a team, like definitely will share the names that who are grouped together. This matching is done based on your competence level, geographical location, and some other factors, which definitely maybe can discuss later. But as a team, what you will know after this webinar, you need to get together and identify a problem that you will be solving. So as I told, you have all raw data on waste management, but you need to pick a very specific problem that you want to solve. It can be anything, improving waste recovery, improving the collection, stopping the littering, behavior change, anything that you want. So you need to land upon the problem. And the document would be your reference file, which will help you understand what are the problems and how to filter down on that. Second case would be developing a concept like an intervention or a solution that we will be implementing in Chengalpattu district. So the CPT, this is a word you will see a lot in our slides and reports. So it's for Chengalpattu, a short form for that. So you need to come up with an intervention or a solution to implement in Chengalpattu. Now, whatever idea you come up with, anything, you need to estimate what are the impacts, what are the social impacts, what are the financial impacts, what can be the environmental impacts of that solution. That would be. And lastly, you need to develop a feasibility plan that how this solution would be implemented, what would be the geographical scope, how much waste it would be handling, and as many details as you can deep dive into, because this is like the main part that you would be presenting in the challenge. So already you have the flyer, you have all the details of the program. And from today onwards, like once you are in a team, you have two reports. You need to work on all these 4 steps. And we'll meet then on Wednesday, 15th of October at 11 o'clock, where you would be presenting your solutions and the work that you have done and a feasibility plan. And it should be like 10 to 15 minutes of a presentation, and it would happen on orange stage. So that's all about the challenge, and I hope you are ready for it. With this, we'll open the
Yeah.
floor if you have any specific questions to us.
Karthik,
And
I
yes,
want to
Aditi.
just introduce another colleague who's actually part of this. We have Arnab Chakrabarti from Empretech, and he's going to be kind of also your wild card. And I would like for him to just come in and briefly introduce himself, how he's a wild card, and we'll come back to the Q&A. Arnab.
Yeah.
I don't know about the wild card, but and I'm really excited and happy to be here. And thank you for that very, very elaborate and extremely well articulated presentation. There's a lot more about the ISWA that I now understand as a potential beneficiary through our partnership towards a common purpose. So I happen to work with a program called Empretech, which is a technical assistance program of the UN. It's been around for over 35 years. There are about 50 countries that are involved in this program. And what the program does is it looks at strengthening, opening up and strengthening certain pathways to social entrepreneurship. And when we do this not just for senior entrepreneurs who are in the business already, but for those who wish to take to entrepreneurship as career. So here, I believe this is something that might resonate with some of your some of the young professionals who are involved in evolving solutions for socially responsive, valuable, something that adds value, socioeconomic value to communities. Now, Empretech in India, well, let's just very quickly, let's talk about the global. Can I just quickly share a few slides, if that's all right?
Go ahead.
Okay, and I need to know how to do this.
So you'll
Share.
see share, yeah. You can
Yes.
share just one part of your screen if you want. Just the slides.
All right. All right. If you just give me a window or entire screen. Maybe window is
Either,
fine.
yeah, either should work.
Windows fine. Screen is good. All right. So this is, if you can see my screen already, this
Yes.
is UNCTAD, the UN Conference on Trade and Development. There's a good amount of work that UNCTAD does on lifting economies out of abject poverty, and also bringing in entrepreneurship as the mainstay, as something that makes these initiatives more sustainable. So we work on the SDGs of the UN, and one of the areas that we'll be looking at in the next few minutes is enterprise development. You know, this is all publicly available, so you could look on the website when you can. And here you would see that our focus is on working with countries to help their small and medium-sized enterprises and startups to grow in a sustainable manner and compete in the global economy. That's the mission overall. And if you look on Empretech here, you would see that there is a specific methodology that we adopt. Empretech's been around since 1988. It's recognized by the United Nations General Assembly as a tool for sustainable development through entrepreneurship. So what we're doing here is we have some high impact entrepreneurs, okay, who are already in various industry verticals, who are already, playing important roles there, and they would like to mentor and work with other entrepreneurs who could add value to a local, regional, perhaps a national value chain. Sometimes we collapse these value chains. And what helps in collapsing is a unique methodology and an immersive and experiential learning environment that is created by the trainers and mentors and experts. So I'm responsible for the India Center for Empretech, and we're currently working with several districts that have expressed interest in business linkages, for example, which is to access solutions that would be valuable for communities. And one of the solutions that it's a fairly common theme across various districts, whether it's a fairly well developed, commercially speaking, district of Anand in Gujarat, or a tribal rural district, Mokokchung in Nagaland, the one common theme is solid waste, and the way we're dealing with solid waste. And so this is something that would complement the ISWA's activities, and specifically starting with the challenge, is where we could bring in some young entrepreneurs, or those who wish to go on to become entrepreneurs or entre leaders in companies, and who may want to participate in a socioeconomic developmental program in the villages. So or at a district level. So very quickly, let me take you through, sorry, might just take a while. So grounding of investments to ensure continuity. So there is a cultural input to the program, and there is a linkages input. The culture input is about habit formation, better decision making, etc., through a competency framework that we make available. It's a year-long program, but for ISWA, we're looking to make this available for about 5 delegates who will have successfully completed and offered a solution that could be picked up. And of course, that's something that's up to ISWA to determine. But once the delegates are selected from perhaps a larger set of those who would like to participate in the solid waste management challenge, we would we'd look to design some enterprise development services, which is basically setting up a business plan, helping access technologies, appropriate technologies, markets. We work with the National Productivity Council, with the Council of Scientific and Industrial Research, which already has excellent solid waste management programs in place. So selection of entrepreneurs or potential entrepreneurs, finalizing them over some time, and then workshops and coaching sessions, most of which are online. And ultimately, from a 250, we drill down to about a set of 10 who gets very, very solid enterprise development services. Okay, so I'll just stay for a few seconds on the slide. This is fairly self-explanatory. This is really the kachra challenge. Now, the kachra that is within rather than without. The impediments to personal and enterprise productivity is often within our mindset, and it appears as obstacles and challenges. You might want to just take a look. This is something that we've seen, getting in the way of quality evolution of programs and projects. So these are the top 10. This is what we address. And how we address this is by offering an approach for mindset development. And I'm going to share these couple of slides, perhaps the presentation with Aditi, and you might want to circulate if in the event there is interest for anyone to join this program. We'd be having our, alongside the challenge, we would set up some sort of a selection process, which we can discuss, and then offer it to the winners. The cost is about $2,000 per person, actually $2,500 now per person, but that is being waived for the winners of the competition, of the challenge. Perhaps that's what makes us some sort of a wild card. So I'll give it back to you, Aditi, and thank you for your time.
Thanks, Arnab. Yes, that's exactly what I meant. I hope it's giving all the students an impetus to do the challenge well. The slides 19 and 20 that Arnab shared, I think they were a lesson in life, not just in entrepreneurship. The same impediments that we see, procrastination and everything, can affect all parts of life. So I think it's an excellent program to join. And as he said, you get incubated all the way till a bankable project. So this is definitely a wild card. If you can, if you do really well in this challenge, you can become an entrepreneur, a successful one at that. Thank you, Arnab, for showing us that. I know you won't be there in person, but hopefully we'll be able to join online, and somebody from Emtritech was going to be there in Mumbai. Thank you so much. We'll go back to the challenge. Karthik and I we are here for questions from you. But
would it be all right if I stayed back to?
Please stay ahead.
For the
Please
rest
go
of your
ahead. Stay.
Thank
Don't
you.
go.
Thank you.
Don't go. What I do want to give a little bit of life gyan. Just when you looking at the challenge, when you start looking for solutions, think of it in a long-term perspective. Okay, don't look at it as a project, because the fact of the matter is projects are beneficial only for people like us, consultants, or technical professionals, and so on. And what is the difference between life and a project? In a project, you have timelines, you have a deadline, you have a finish line, and then you're done and dusted and you go back. But with solid waste, you're generating it every day, forever, for perpetuity. And from the research we've been doing, we found that in the next 25 years, we're almost going to double the amount of waste that we're generating, because we haven't yet been able to decouple waste generation from GDP or economic growth. And as you know, our country, we're in that trajectory. We're pulling people out of poverty. We are moving towards so-called development or whatever, like, we're industrializing and so on and so forth. So waste generation, unless we decouple, is going to go up, you know. So you can look at it as a challenge because currently, as Karthik presented, it's a dire situation. Chengalpettu is just one, example of a district out of maybe 811. That's another reason why I'm so interested in district level interventions, because there are only 811 or 813 on a good or bad day in India, as opposed to thousands and thousands of ULBs and RLBs, and it just becomes kind of a mess.
Yes.
So what I want to say to you is that when you look at the challenge, firstly, we told you the lenses to go through. So you're looking at the technical aspects, the social aspects, the behavioral change aspects, um, the sustainability of all the financial things as well. But most importantly, look at it from all stakeholders' perspectives. There are people who are at the end of the value chain, who are apex traders, aggregators, decision makers, collectors, recyclers, and so on and so forth. But don't forget the timing of it, in the sense that you want to make a project sustainable. So grant funding, as I said, is good for a project, is good for a small period of time, but then it gets over. Like the CLOCC funding is coming to an end this year. We need to have situations and solutions in place which will last a lifetime. So think about waste fees. How are you going to actually finance that whole system? Is it going to be affordable for the system? You might come up with these, amazing technologies because they exist. I think Karthik said it too, and Arnab also mentioned technologies are all over the world, readily available. You can log on, and now with this interconnected space of ours, you can go to any of the AIs, Perplexity, ChatGPT, ask for technology. But is it actually going to work in Chengalpettu, or this is the Chengalpettu challenge? Maybe some other place you're working globally. I don't know. So keep those things in mind. And Karthik is going to tell you about what are going to be our kind of evaluation criteria, or what we are going to be looking at. Um, Jury is going to be a few of us, few experts, including Arnab. Arnab, somebody from Arnab's team, who will be looking at the solutions, and then we'll decide, the winners, and who will be getting that. Those will be a cohort of 5 teams who get that prize. And Karthik, if you want to just go through that list that we
Yes.
had made. Yeah.
So Aditi, maybe I'll just discuss from these 4 points here rather than showing the entire evaluation
Okay, you don't want to.
criteria
Okay, yeah,
list.
yeah.
Yes, so as you see, there are 4 steps that you need to go through, and these 4 steps would be something we would be evaluating in your final presentation also. When we are talking about, like, when you pick a problem that you are solving, how well is your problem articulation? So we know all the data for the Chengalpattu we have worked as, so whatever you're gonna say there, we'll know what you are saying, right? So your articulation of the problem and how well you have thought and structured down and narrowed down to that problem that you are solving. So that is something what we'll be definitely looking at. Then when you come up with a solution that you want to implement. So as Aditi told, like, there is a list of solutions. You just put it on an AI, and they'll give you a list of solutions. But how relevant is that solution? How you are filtering down to a right solution? I mean, that is something what we are very interested to look at. I'll very clearly say here that scale of solution doesn't matter. I mean, we're not saying you need to manage 100 tons of the waste with your solution. You can even focus on 2 tons or 3 tons or just 5 tons of waste also per day that your solution would manage. So the amount of that doesn't matter. I think the robustness of the solution matters, and that is a lens that we'll be looking at. Then, as I told, the impact of your proposed solution. So your team should definitely get into understanding that how you will localize this solution and what would be the local impacts that would be created. Look at from a sustainability lens, that what's the social impact, social value you are creating, what's the environmental impact of the solution, and what are the financial implications. Like, who's gonna fund your solution? You can say, oh, we're gonna bring an AI robot which will clean everything, right? But who's gonna fund it? How it will work, right? I mean, those will be the questions. I think when you look at the impact, your clarity on those numbers would be something really interesting for us to look at. And as I told, the feasibility plan, that you need a proper case for your solution to be implemented. I would say it should be at a level that we can just pitch it next day to the Chengalpattu municipality and say that, see, the students from this university have come up with a solution. These are the numbers. Let's implement it, right? So I mean, that's the proposed level. I know 10 days is a very short time, so don't get lost in like too much of details. But we at least need a rough feasibility plan, and more than the final outcome, we are interested in like how you are thinking about it. What's an intellectual exercise you are doing it. So those are some broad areas under which we want you to work around and present yourself at the IFAT. And with this, I think I open the floor for the questions if you have any. And during this next 10 days, if you are going through the reports, you are stuck anywhere, you have any questions, so feel free to reach out to different mentors that you find, right? I mean, primarily it's your team who has to work, but you can always seek mentorship. You can even write to me, Arnav, Aditi, if you have any questions or you would like to discuss something. We can talk on that too. So yes, any questions, then we can answer them. And if not, then I would leave it to Depney to just say what's the next step for it. And I look forward to see each one of you on 15th in Mumbai. I think if you have a question, you may just
Yeah.
raise your hand or something, and then we can give you access to speak if that works.
Yeah, I don't see anybody having any questions yet. Just going through. Oh,
Saurabh
here.
has.
Give me
There's
one
one question,
moment.
Saurabh.
Yeah. One moment. Yes, you can. If you unmute your mic, then we can hear you. Saurabh?
Yes, yes. Hi.
Yes.
Uh,
Hi.
Hello. Uh, Good
Hi,
afternoon,
we can hear you.
everyone.
Yes, hi.
Yes. Uh, Actually, this was very nice presentation. I have really admire all of you and uh, the effort you have, uh, effort what you have did in this work is really admirable. I am like research scholar of ITD. I'm currently I'm pursuing PhD from ITD. And I have did my BTech in civil engineering. So, I have a lot of knowledge about solid waste management as well. And then I have moved forward to like switch my career to the nanotechnology. And now I am wanted to somehow I will be become a key aspect of technology and the for society I will connect how can I wanted to connect it doing like by my effort I did my master's from JNU. So JNU have a rich culture of like in social activism and all. So I am fascinated toward this program. And actually, I am living in a tier one city like Delhi, and this is located in New Delhi. I'm coming to the specific thing. So there is a like a hierarchy. There is a very professional people who generated waste in like in a different manner. There are a very different behavioral pattern, and there are some pockets of like slums area. They have although different thing. So, the single plan is doesn't work for all. My concern. So, like in a New Delhi, have you ever visited there? So, how can we make a plan like that will be work for all in a small pockets of slums area and a big and a big, very educated colonies like thing. So there should be a different plan, and they didn't agree on that if you will be putting a same plan for all. So my question is, so how can we integrate that?
Thanks, Saurabh. I think that's a great question. I'll start and Karthik and Arnav can go as well. Um, Good point. When we said waste master plan, it doesn't mean that there are no nuances within that plan as well. You obviously, since you are a civil engineer and you've worked in waste before, you've heard of the concept of pay as you throw. Essentially, you pay as for the amount of waste that you throw. So that's also, I would say, fair in some ways, because if you're generating more waste, more complex kind of waste, you pay more for the service. We don't, when we say one plan, we absolutely do not mean that it's going to be one solution that fits all. Firstly, there is no one solution that fits all, whether between countries, but even within, income divides. So low income settings, high income settings, medium income settings, and so on. It's a good question, but there will have to be nuance in the solution that you provide. We are not looking for one solution that fits all. That's not going to be possible. Affordability is a big question here. And that's why I said pay as you throw is a concept that some countries look at. For instance, in South Korea, you only pay for your residual waste. Unfortunately, when we were revising our waste management rules in 2016, we did not have a bin for residual waste. I think it's a big lack currently in the system. People don't realize it, but the amount of people that are confused with the 3-bin system is tremendous. People ask me, where do you throw X, like this kind of waste? And it's a fair question because there is a wet waste, there's a dry waste, and there's this household hazardous, which really means nothing. There should be a kind of a residual fraction, which is non-recyclable, goes to final disposal. And that's then you pay for that amount of waste, because then it's basically going to final sinks, your final disposal systems. So just quickly going back to your point, we are not looking for one solution that fits all. And so you'll have to define your problem statement since you have only 10 days, because if you were actually working on like a district level plan, you'd have to spend a lot more time. But define the problem you're trying to solve narrowly and then give a solution for that. As Karthik said, I think we're looking at the kind of rigor you're going to go into mentally, what kind of thought process you're going to apply to it. So good question, and I hope it also helps the rest of the people for this challenge. Giving it over to Karthik.
Yeah. Yeah, Saurabh. So for the particular like your problem is very much understandable, and we resonate with that. But for the challenge, our focus is only the single particular. So that's like the boundary, and the data that we have shared is something a real-time data around which you have to work in the particular challenge. So as Aditi told, identify your specific problem. It can be focusing on the rural, urban, even a commercial setup, whatever makes sense to you, and you can come up with a solution to present in the challenge for that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm just looking if there's anybody else that wants to raise a question. If you don't want to be on camera or mic, that's fine as well. You can put any questions in the chat or in the Q&A. And otherwise, Aditi, you've already put down your email addresses as well, of Karthik as well. So you obviously have my email address. That's a good question. So that was my next step to actually tell you when you will receive notification of who's in your group. I've actually got the emails pretty much ready to be sent after this webinar takes place. So you'll be receiving your group formations quickly after this webinar. We'll be putting in the presentation slide deck that you've received from Karthik and Aditi in that same email, where the challenge task is also explained. And other resources and links. So you'll be receiving that from me in the next 5 to 10 minutes, depending on when the webinar obviously ends, including any of the next steps that you will need to take that Karthik has already explained as well. Just something to mention is that for IFAT India, for the exhibition, you do need to register. It's free registration. But in order to actually enter the exhibition space, you do need to register for that. So please make sure that you do that ahead of time. So I'm just looking to see if there are any more questions, and otherwise, I think we will round off the webinar. So thank you so much, Aditi. Thank you so much, Karthik and Arnab, for your time here and presenting here as well. Thank you so much for all of the students that have attended today. For those watching the recording, I hope that this presentation is helpful as well, and that you have learned more about the CLOCK project and what ISWA does, the YPG and Emprotech. Please feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions, and good luck. Bye. Thank you so much.